All righty, so welcome everyone to tonight's session on supporting your student athlete. We are very blessed to have with us tonight um, our athletic director, Pat Atwell, and some coaches, and I'll let them introduce themselves later. But before we do get started, just a few little housekeeping items. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. If you wouldn't mind, please, just make certain your device is muted. I'll try and kind of keep my eye on that. But sometimes if you're joining us from a phone, I'm not able to mute that, just so we can kind of try and reduce any background noise. If you do have a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat, and I will be keeping an eye on that. And then I will jump in and let Pat know or the coaches know as questions pop up, or you're certainly free at the end if you want to unmute yourself and ask questions. We want to make certain that you do leave this session tonight with your questions about supporting your student athlete answered. As I mentioned, a recording of this session will be available on the parents and families page of the Culver website. Usually we have it up within a day or two after the session. So I would just keep an eye out on that page, later this week, and that recording should be there. We do have another live session this week that I wanted to plug really quickly. On Thursday night at 7 p.m., we will have representatives from admissions, financial aid, and student billing. If you attended our session on June 12th, we will have similar information, but they are going to expand upon it now that the bills have all gone out. So if you joined us on June 12th and you still have some questions about your bill or about financial aid, you're welcome to join us again. We do have a brand new Parents and Families Facebook page and Instagram. So we do hope that you will follow us on social media. That's where we will be continuing to post information throughout the year. And monthly, on the first of each month, I will send out a parent email newsletter that will contain helpful information. And the first one's going to be coming out next week. We will be sending the email out to the email addresses that we have on file for the parents. If you got the email that invited you to tonight's session, then we've got your info on file. If not, or you'd like to change that information, you are certainly welcome to send me an email with the updated information. My email's up on that slide. But also, I am your liaison. So if you ever have any questions or you ever need anything, again, my name is Angie Royal. I'm the Vice President for Student Experience here, and I am always here to help. I'm not only your liaison, but I am also your student's advocate. So please never hesitate to reach out to me. Just one other thing that I wanted to plug really quickly, and then I will turn it over to Pat, is we do have a great program that we wanted to plug. If your student is not a fall athlete and they're interested in coming to campus early, taking a class that they can completely finish this class in 2 weeks, we have a program called Catalyst, where students will move in on August 8th, and from August 8th through the 22nd, they will complete a gen ed biology class. It'll give them a chance to dip their toe in the water of being a college student, get familiar with campus, all before the rest of the new students do join us. So I do have a website there for you if you want more information. You can certainly reach out to me via email and I can send you more information on that as well. So, all righty, we're going to go ahead now and I'm going to turn it over to Pat Atwell, our athletic director. So take it away, Pat.
All right, welcome everybody. We really appreciate you taking some time to be with us tonight. I wanted to introduce my coaches that we have on here from Culver. We have Tyler Tomlinson, our head women's soccer coach. Tyler's also our media coordinator. So after I do some things here, give you a little information that we share at our registration days. Tyler's going to lead us through the streaming and where to find the stream, how to log into it. We know it's a big deal. We have so many athletes from afar that obviously parents can't get to every game. So we try to stream as much as humanly possible. So Tyler will cover that for us. Jeff Lipton, our head men's volleyball coach, is on here. He's actually down in Florida, working a camp, and Always finding people, always finding guys for it, so he can answer any things related to men's volleyball, probably women's volleyball as well. And Hunter Davis is our head track and field cross country coach, which means he coaches six sports: men's and women's cross country, men's and women's indoor track, men's and women's outdoor track. He's always coaching. Has had a lot of success, has taken several students to nationals, and um, has really been a great addition to our staff. Came to us a couple of years ago from Iowa Wesleyan. So, and also a former sports information director. So it's pretty handy to have him around with all the various things we need on game days. Again, I'm Pat Atwell. I've been at Culver for 11 years now. So it's been a pretty quick 11 years. Tyler would probably tell you different because he's been with me for all 11. But I think it's went kind of fast. What the hey? So really what we're here talking about now is just what we go over for parents to understand about the college. And then it's a pure question and answer. Like Angie said, you can ask a question, you can put something in a chat that she can get to me. But some real quick things. If the person's a fall sport athlete, meaning, football, men's and women's soccer, women's volleyball, cross country for sure. Those students are going to move in Friday, August 8th this year. So that's a big date. If you're a fall student athlete, Friday, August 8th. We're not sure on cheer. At one point, we had a home football game scheduled for August 30th. If that comes to fruition, we'll ask cheer to move in the same day. The one team pulled out, so we may not have a game that day. If not, then cheer will move in either at a later date, maybe with the marching band a week or so later, or with the regular student body. But probably, Angie, when marching band date is that the 15th?
It's Thursday, August the 14th.
14th. So thank you, Angie. That's a possible date also that we would, maybe move cheer, not as early, but a little earlier, because they have a lot of competition stuff they work on, a lot of prep, for sideline cheer and stuff. So any cheerleading parents around, we'll get that to you. Um, some things to look for. As we head to July, an email will come from Rob Carmichael. Rob is our head trainer. And this is a big deal. This will come to your Culver email, your student's Culver email. So it'd be great as a parent of two college students, in days past, they weren't spectacular at checking their school email ahead of time. So, in this situation, if you can assist them and remind them to check that Culver email, that's where things will start showing up. And in that healthy roster, they fill out things like give us a copy of their insurance card. There's nothing more frustrating for you as a fall sport coach for a student to come and we don't have paperwork done. We don't have their insurance card yet. Really simple, front and back of an insurance card, scan it, put it into healthy roster, and we have it. Um, and you have to have insurance to practice. If a student comes without insurance, we'll help them acquire insurance, but you have to have insurance. Also, a medical history. It's really important. Let's say Tyler. So Tyler's team's on the road playing women's soccer, and somebody gets injured on a road trip. And well, our trainers only travel on the road with football because when we travel with the other sports, football's such a monster. You need trainers on both sides and, team doctors. Football is that way. Soccer, also highly physical, but the home trainers take care of the injuries. So if we're traveling to Kansas City, our trainer wouldn't go. We would rely on the team with school playing in Kansas City, for example. But if somebody got injured enough that they needed to go to like an emergency room, a bad, maybe they broke a bone in their arm, or you just with trainers like, yeah, you probably ought to go to the hospital. Well, Tyler has access to a healthy roster, so in the old days I was carrying 40 index cards with me when I was coaching with this information. So we've really come a long way. But Tyler has all that information, so we know what medications a person might be allergic to. We know what previous history there is. It's just important information for us to have. Also, if we make the playoffs, we could be randomly drug tested. We could randomly drug test. It's good to know what medication they're on in case so if it shows up on a drug test, well, we've already put that down. That's a medication they're on. So it's just important for us to know that information. Physical forms are in the same place. You'll get those. If you've already gotten a physical like this summer and used your high school or whatever form, that's fine. We'll take that. But if not, getting a physical before arrival from a doctor, a P or PA is okay. But we have to have a physical form again before they can practice. It's very frustrating not to be able to practice because you haven't had a physical. We'll have some docs, come over and help, but There was a time pre-COVID where a lot of docs came over. They realized we still figured out a way to play sports without them coming over, so they don't come over quite as much now. But I will say this, what we do have that not every college has, a team doctor shows up to our campus every Monday. Every Monday we'll have 15, 20 students see our team doc. And it might be kids that got hurt over the weekend, but not hurt to an emergent level, but turned an ankle, tweaked something, tweaked a hammy, so then they get to see the team doc. Or a team doc will see an athlete, student athlete, how's your rehab coming? They'll give them an update on how their rehab is coming from whatever injury they had. So very, very handy for us to have team doctors come to campus every Monday. Again, not every small school has that. And your immunizations go through a different form. That comes from Angie's office. That's not Healthy Roster. It's a different form. Med Proctor. Is it still Med Proctor, Angie? No, new one.
No,
So we got
ac actually, we're trying to see if we can coordinate immunizations being run through Healthy Roster as well. So for now, all that we're asking that all students do is just send your immunization record to your admission counselor, and we'll take care of it once we get that all settled. So immunizations can just go to the admission counselor for now. And
perfect,
Coach
perfect. Thank
Tomlinson, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just I'm pretty sure, Pat, the physicals have to be in 2025
Correct,
because
correct. I mean, they
a
had
lot of the
something
fall
this
sports
summer
kids.
already.
Yeah.
They take, somebody got a physical, but yeah, the physical before last year's high school season won't
Yep.
count.
Yep.
But if somebody was aggressive and got one, 2 weeks ago on a different form, we would take that. But thanks, Tyler. Um, Another big one for us. Right now, we have over 240 student athletes in this incoming class. We have over 600 student athletes on our campus. So if you do the math, we're a little over 3 out of 4 students on campus is a student athlete. If the student athletes do not get involved in other areas of campus, well, there's going to be some lack of representation there. So we expect our student athletes to get highly involved, to be RAs, resident assistants in the residence halls, maybe student government, to check out fraternity and sorority life. Our coaches work well with that. They understand. We want to be highly involved, and it just opens up a whole new friend group that somebody could be involved with. And if you get more friends, more fans at the game. So I would just say that we encourage it. It's really important. The coaches understand it. And now if you're in athletics and a scholarship and you're doing something else, you've got to understand sometimes one is going to give a little bit. If you got to have practice, you're supposed to be at practice, but the coaches understand to have a well-rounded collegiate experience, you need to be involved in a variety of things. We encourage the students to get involved in a variety of things.
Hey, Pat.
Another,
We did have a question really quick. I wanted to jump in
okay,
and ask. Is there a cost to the student for the team doctor if they need to be seen on campus?
free on campus. So that's why they come. We do a lot of our rehab on campus to save physical therapy, charges. And with the docs come to campus helps a lot with those kind of things. So that's why, you know, always knowing. So if your son or daughter calls and say like, oh gosh, I turned my ankle, and you know, they gave me crutches. I can get around. Should I go to the ER? Well, honestly, if you turned your ankle, it doesn't matter unless it's a clear fracture. If you have a slight crack, if you have a sprained ankle, whatever the grade is, you're probably icing it, elevating it, and staying off it. So you're probably okay until you see the team doc on Monday. Then the team doc's like, yeah, you probably ought to go get x-rays. Then you can go get x-rays. But because a variety of them are handled the same way, ice, rest, and elevation, that's why the team docs come. So it's you're always welcome to head, to an urgent care or something somewhere, but a lot of times it can wait until the team doc comes and then they can give us some guidance. And our trainers are great. We have 4 trainers, so we're in pretty good shape there. Angie, do you want to answer that? Was that a Med Proctor question I just saw pop up?
Yeah, I just saw that we had a question about if we uploaded immunizations to MedProctor, we are good. We no longer have a relationship with MedProctor that I'm aware of. So I'm going to have to find out about that. So I would still go ahead and send your documents to the admission counselor. Um, as far as I'm aware, the student should not have been able to upload them to MedProctor. So I'm certainly going to be contacting them first thing in the morning to find out how that could have happened. But I would still go ahead and send them to the admission counselor. The reason that we have parted ways with MedProctor was they informed us this year they wanted to start charging students $15 per page to upload it. And so we said, no, thank you. And we had been investigating potentially trying to consolidate into one system anyway. So let me see what I can find out about that. But I would still go ahead and just send the records to the student's admission counselor.
Thanks, Angie. Another thing, it is really, if you're going to come to a school the size of Culver, I think taking advantage of the size of our campus and getting to know people is really important. The obviously they'll know their coaches, but getting to know the administration, getting to know the professors, getting to know people because we will be the people that will write the reference letters. And we'll be the people who they can come to and be like and tell us what they want to do. You're like, I know somebody, we can make a call. Because I always say, what you know is extremely important. That will get you a long way. But sometimes you don't get to prove that until the who you know comes out. And a lot of us know a lot of people to help them just get a door open, get a foot in the door, just get a chance to sell who they are to somebody. So it's really important at a school our size to really get to know people who know other people that can help you in networking. Um, as parents, if you could really help them problem solve, it's just such a great life skill. They'll call home frustrated, and hey, this happens, and what am I going to do? And just start from scratch and like, well, have you talked to your coach? Have you talked to the assistant coach? If you've all that, have you talked to the athletic director? Like, who have you talked to? Let's work this problem. There's always, and the coaches have been around long enough, they might not know exactly who might handle something but we know who to ask. We know who to ask and find out and help our students. So um, as they start to, being a parent again of a couple, they can get nuclear pretty quick. Just help them work the problem because you've lived it. You've lived issues and just kind of so to talk them through the process of a pecking order of who you would talk to. And again, you're welcome to call. You're welcome to call me or whatever and say, hey, just checking on this. And welcome to call Angie. You're welcome to call us and just check on things. But we're here to help them. And if you can help them work a problem, it's just a really important life skill for them to manage. And this is a great time for them to do it because this is why you go to college to learn the various life skills and have a great have a great student athlete and experience at the college. I will warn you or brief you to be ready for a homesick call. A lot of the times it happens. It happens whether they're 30 miles away or 3,030. It's different. Everything's different. They don't know a lot of people. And again, it's if they call you, you can let them know that probably 98% of college students in the country are feeling this exact way. I mean, I've had people from Hannibal, Missouri, which is, about 23 miles from Canton, be homesick, so it's just everything's different. So how you handle that call is really important. If tell them, hey, we understand, you might relate to something else in your life where you had a similar feeling and made it through. But again, if you're not ready to handle that, it's harder for them. So just one of those things to be prepared. It's extremely common, and it's also extremely common to work their way through it with the help of those of us to have people to talk to. I always say, I've there's of all the millions of ones I can remember vividly. Angie heard me tell this. I had a kid from Pennsylvania, 18 years old, crying in my office how bad he missed his girlfriend. I'm coaching baseball at the time, and he just wants to go home. He doesn't know anybody. It's a long way from, I was in Illinois coaching at the time, from Pennsylvania, and I said, just stay through the baseball season. I understand if you stay for the baseball season and you don't like it, God bless you. I mean, then go do whatever it is you need to do. Well, lo and behold, somehow he and his girlfriend broke up, which wasn't shocking, given that I've seen that about 83,000 times. Not always. Sometimes it works out, but sometimes it doesn't. He ended up staying. he ended up doing quite well at college and pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals and winning a World Series ring. And had he decided to go home, 18-year-old him in the fall, 2 weeks into school when he missed everybody, I just don't think that was going to happen. Sometimes you just got to fight through. And on the other end, when you get those calls, it's important to remember, fighting through similar feelings. Like I remember having the feeling, and just working your way through it with the people there and getting involved wherever you're at. So, just one of those things. And one last thing before I turn it over to the coaches and to Tyler to do the web streaming thing. We again, because we have over 600 student athletes, we're gonna have I think we'll have over 250 in this class, easy. Not every single student is going to have an unbelievable student athlete experience that they're all 600 of them are going to stay with their sport for all 4 years. But what happens a lot of time is they come and they realize, like, gosh, this is a maybe more time than I thought it was going to be. Or, I've got this other passion now. I got involved in this and in my major and I'm doing these things and I still really like Culver. I just don't love my sport at a level I thought I would or that I did for whatever reason. But I love Culver and I want to stay at Culver, but I can't afford Culver if I can't keep my scholarship. Well, we do what we call converting scholarships. I just had a conversation today with a person. Probably 15 or 20 a year. And that means that the financial aid director and I get together every year and say, what is our conversion number? We look at all the scholarships offered that year and get the average. So we get an average number of a scholarship that was offered, which is more than half the kids. So if a person comes in that's on an average scholarship, we will convert that scholarship at the average. They'll get a full conversion. It happens quite frequently, honestly. They stay at Culver, they get a conversion, and it all works great for everybody. Um, if an athlete is on a high scholarship, obviously a different conversation. If I'm talking to Jeff Lipton, Coach Lipton comes in and says, Coach, I just don't love it anymore, but I really enjoy student government and I'm into that. And I love my major. I want to stay at Culver. How does this work? Coach mentioned a conversion. And I pull their scholarship up and he's getting 3,000 over the average. Like here's Jeff, here's what we do. We convert at the average. I'm looking, you get 3,000 over the average. So you're going to have a deficit of $3,000. That's a conversation you probably need to have with your parents. I would love you to stay. There might be a way to make that up. One thing is you could work, you could do some student work, you could work in the athletic department or elsewhere to help, get some work study kind of money. But again, a different conversation, but it's just it's very common. It happens. It doesn't happen with 50 or 60 a year, but 15 or 20 a year that happens. So I wanted you to know that was the thing. If a student calls like, I love it here. I just don't know about my sport anymore. But I can't afford to. Well, there's an answer for that, is that we do convert scholarships. So um, that's kind of some of the things I go over. Also tickets. I see the tickets, two free tickets to every parent. Every student gets two free tickets. So either they'll get a physical ticket that they can give you. They will get an electronic ticket if we're doing electronic ticketing, or the old-fashioned pass list. There'll be a pass list out there that you check in before a game. So two tickets, each student, each game. So parents should not pay. Children under a certain age get in free. I mean, we're happy you're here. Like you don't need mom and dad don't need to pay to come to the game. So two tickets to each game for the parents. If we do an electronic ticketing, which I don't think we are right now, we would make sure you get that link. But I think it'll either be a ticket or an old-fashioned pass list. Can multi-sport athletes try out for other teams there at Culver? Yes. They are, whatever scholarship they're under. Some are dual scholarship. Hunter, I'll yield to you Hunter here in a minute because he gets a lot of multi-sport athletes in track and field. Um, but a multi-sport athlete will talk to the coach of their whatever if they have a primary sport about going to another sport and trying out. And again, if you can't do that at the Culver-Stocktons of the world, then where are you going to do it? We're a small NAIA school. So I know all three coaches I'm looking at here have had people do it. But Hunter, if you want to just jump into it real quick and run with that one a little bit.
Yeah, so a lot of coaches are very open to that. Sometimes it's, if they're in the middle of the fall, like football, they'd probably ask you to wait till the spring, try out during spring ball when there are less people, between the melt window and things like that, and go like that. And then there's some that like me and some others that are like, hey, let's try it, as soon as possible. Example, Coach Tomlinson had an athlete last year that tried out for me in the winter and then ended up being a three-time school record holder and all conference. So those things happen quite a bit. So yes, multi-sport athletes is definitely more than doable.
The free tickets are only for the sport your child is playing. So not for, and there are some weekends, parents' weekends, where we want the parents to come to the events and stuff. So, if somebody's here on parents' weekend, Angie, do parents, they get into the athletic events typically on parents' weekend, right? I mean, that's just part of parents' weekend. So yeah, if you're coming and your son or daughter plays baseball, but you're here on parents' weekend in the fall, yeah, come to the football games, come to everything. That's what Parents Weekend is for. 25-26 football schedule should be on the website. It has been released. Again, we're still working on the August 30th game, but it is set. I think our women's soccer, I think our soccer schedules might be up as well. Women's volleyball close. So the fall sports should be on cscwildcats.com, I believe. Is that right, Tyler? cscwildcats.com is our athletic website. So Tyler, if you want to jump in to do a little
I'm gonna take us there right now, actually.
take us right there, you
Uh,
multimedia expert.
and so, yeah, so those of you that are looking for your schedules for sports, that's where you would go. If you just click on the sports tab here, all of those newer schedules are updated. So football, as you can see, is presenting the 25-26 current schedule. If there is one added, like we're talking about, that would be updated on that website. And so, but yeah, those most of those sports are on there, and they do have an updated schedule for you. What I'm going to show you is still right on that top tab there, and it says Wildcat Network. So it's the third thing over on the menu tab there. That's where you're going to find your games that you want to watch. You can't make it to the game and you have to watch it from home or your phone. That's okay, right? That's where you want to go. So when you click on Wildcat Network, it's going to bring up pretty much a screen right away. Some of the other schools in our conference obviously have started adding things already, so you start to see. But there's two tabs that you can look for. One is live and upcoming. So if you're going for a game right then, or the game already started, or it's about to start, that's the tab that you want to have open, live and upcoming. If you missed a game and you want to go back and watch it or show a highlight to your family members about, check out this catch my kid made here on the sidelines or something, you click on demand, and you can go back and you can look at some of these games. So there's some softball games as the most recent things. And you can keep going down here where it says show more. So that's a good way to go to games that have already completed. So you can see here, there'll be, even if it's a road game, we'll try to get some of those links up there. All of our home ones for sure will be on here, but I'm pretty sure, Pat, that we're not at home for this game. So Missouri Baptist has put that on the Heart Network already. And so our schedule pulls through there as well. So that's why that game's showing. But when this game's up, there will be a play button right in the middle here, just like on YouTube. You just click play and your game should be on there. And so once again, we try to stream every single game. Reserve games may not have commentary, but we do try to stream every reserve game as well. So first team, reserve game, we're doing both of those things. And then I'll show one more thing here, possibly. So we do have, and this is just let me X out of that. We do have a school publication as well, which we're trying to get more articles and things like that for your kids to be able to follow along with. But that's a pretty easy website as well. The first one was CSC Wildcats, and then once again, this is our school newspaper, wildcatwire.culver.edu. And so news and information that you're looking for will be on here. And we can see the articles down here from kids that went on the 3-week trip, kind of journaled their way through that. And so it gives just a little different perspective and has some different stories. You can click on sports. We will have updates for that. And then we do have some podcasts that come through sometimes where we interview the coaches. So you can get more information. Hey, there's Hunter right there. Man, he always looks good. And so being able to follow along a little bit more with your team and have those opportunities, we try to do the best we can. When it comes to the commentary for the games and whatnot, just remember we are a teaching college. And so, they may not be Jim Nance and Tony Romo on the call, but they're going to have passion for the players and the school and the team. And remember that me and Pat and even Hunter and some of the coaches were coaching those commentators through it too. And this is a really great place for them to learn and develop their voice and maybe even learn about a new sport and try their hand at calling those games. So keep that in mind as we're putting all these products out to you the best we can.
All right, appreciate it, Tyler.
We did
If
just
we
have
have any
we did just
parents
have a
of,
question come in the chat,
okay,
Pat. How does the red shirt your first year work?
if you the NAIA has a rule where you can play up to 20% of the games. So if you play less than 20% of the games, you are what we call redshirt. So sometimes you redshirt, you don't play any games. So this is why it's kind of a big deal in football. If you play 11 games, you could play in 2 games and still redshirt. If you only play 10 games, you can only play in 1 game and qualify for a redshirt. So this 20% is a really big number. The coaches know the number. So a red shirt means that you were enrolled in school on a team but did not use a season of competition. So a lot of young men and women do red shirt, especially on sports that have larger rosters. In college, typically you get 10 semesters to play your 4 seasons. So if a person came for 2 full-time semesters in the fall, didn't use a season, they would still have 4 seasons, eight semesters left to get their seasons in. Track is an interesting one because in track and field, you can use an indoor track season, but not an outdoor track season. But the one constant is you still have 10 semesters of full-time enrollment to do your athletic activity. So the 20% rule is the big one to understand. Whatever the max number of games are, I think, Tyler, when you guys hit, is it your 5th game?
Fourth,
Four.
yeah,
When you play 4, you've hit your 20.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
so soccer
3.8.
is, yep, soccer is 4. If they get into a 4th game, they've used a season of competition. And that's the thing the NEI did a few years ago. It's a really good rule. That gives you get a chance to play a little bit, but not burn a season. And you get real adult conversation with them about what their playing time might look like. Or there's no medical red shirt anymore. I mean, if you get hurt, it just doesn't matter whether you played 20% of the games or not anymore. So it's just there could be some special conditions down the line for us 11th semester. If you got hurt twice, for example, there's exemptions you can ask for, but that's the basic premise for the red shirt. All right. So, if there's any women's volleyball parents out here, we are in the hiring process. I think we'll have something very, very soon on that, which would be great because I'd like to get a coach in place, before here a month before the season coming. So some very good interviews, and I think we'll have information here very soon on that, which I'm excited about. So I just want to let you know if you had any women's volleyball students on board. Um, any questions? Any questions that aren't in the chat? Anything else that you'd like to know about Culver-Stockton? I mean, we're here. You have us here now, so feel free to ask anything you would like.
Well, I'll just jump in and say something that I really appreciate about athletics is And I've worked on 2 other campuses before I came to Culver, but I know that I can really trust my coaches. They really do want to make certain that they're developing athletes of character. So, they are making certain that we're sending to them every week their athletes' attendance in class. They're getting their athletes' grades. I can guarantee that if, I reach out to a coach and I say, hey, I've got a little bit of a concern about this person, that the coach is a partner with me in that, in, getting the student back on track. So if you were able to attend a registration day, you hear Pat and I talk a lot about the wraparound support that we provide students here at Culver, and the coaches are a valuable part of that. So I can assure you that your student athletes are in very good hands here. So it looks like
And
we had
Angie's
a
are,
couple more questions come in.
yeah, I
Um,
see them here. You're transferring from a daughter transferring from a junior college that she played a full year at. At the NAIA level, that will be a year. The NCAA is still battling that. It's really been a D1 thing at this point. If they make that blanket, then I think the NAIA will look hard at it. But right now, if she's transferring from a junior college where she played a year, she would have 3 years of eligibility left at Culver-Stockton. That's how that would work. Academic standards. The real basic, all right, is that you always need to pass 12 hours per semester. A freshman has a little leeway. I think 9 is a first semester freshman, but 12 hours with a 2.0. That's the basic, all right? So every semester you get done with your freshman year, if you've passed 24 hours with a 2.0, you're probably good for your sophomore year. They have to pass 30 hours to be on pace for graduation. So, but as you're tracking, as you're talking to your children, 12 credits passed at a 2.0, those are the real key numbers to always keep in mind for, um, for our student athletes to be eligible. And you have coaches now, each of these coaches are always pretty high in the academic cup as well. By the way, women's soccer, current champions on the women's side, currently holding the academic cup. Cross country, track and field, always a high challenger. Men's volleyball has won the academic cup as well, so that we stay on it pretty good. And Angie's in charge of the Student Success Center. There's a there's a lot of help here at Culver. So if they're not getting help, they're almost avoiding it. Honestly, if they're not getting it, we have a lot of ways to help. Um, what types of challenges, solutions, assistance are to meet the classroom demands and athletics at the same time? It's a lot of time management. Again, we have a student success center, but there will never be more time demanded than there is time available. So a student athlete will have time. They'll have time to get their schoolwork done. One thing about the students is we do have um, as far as travel, they're not punished for travel. So they are excused if they have a legit road baseball game, let's say. But they're responsible for the work. And here's something to remind your student athletes. I had a kid learn this the hard way. So Dr. Tomlinson and Dr. Lipton and Dr. Davis, they're all doctors, let's say, tonight. And they all have their own policies on when the work is due. So Dr. Davis, great guy. Oh, I understand you have a baseball game. I'd like your work before you go. Dr. Tomlinson, Dr. Lipton, I understand you have a baseball game. I want your work when you get back on Monday. Well, don't assume that's what it is because Dr. Davis wanted it before you go. So it's up to those professors to decide how they want you and when they want your work done. But make sure the students know, hey, a conversation, it's a small college. Let them, hey, just a reminder, I won't be here Friday. We have a game. I know I'll miss some work. What am I responsible for? The professor will gladly tell them. Um, so what the athletes don't have the benefit of if they miss some classes for games, missing other ones on top of the games. Well, then you're just going to be in a pickle, because if you're in, and really, we don't miss all that much. Honestly, the most the most is usually your spring sports is usually your baseball, softball, and golf. Amazingly, they miss the most, but the league does a good job trying to avoid too many weeks. Men's volleyball gets some Tuesdays. They'll have some long trips on Tuesdays. They'll miss a little bit. Track and field, almost never. They play too many Saturdays. Every now and then a Friday afternoon, but not too much. Classes will start, Angie, the 4th.
Yeah, so the first day of classes for all students is Monday, August the 25th. Having said that, though, football, we actually do start for our freshman football players. They do actually start knocking out some of their freshman success class after they move in on August the 8th. So myself and two of our other faculty here will be teaching them. So they'll actually start taking classes a little bit earlier. But August 25th is the official first day of classes.
All right, does college provide complete baseball uniform, including cleats? Complete baseball uniform, pretty sure not including cleats. It kind of becomes up to the coach. And is there a list of equipment that is provided per sport? You would get that from the head coach. If I tell each of these three coaches, hey, you've got $250 to get gear for your squad. Well, that doesn't include a uniform. That's on a rotation basis. That doesn't include um, goggles for lacrosse. They're mandatory. That doesn't include a football helmet. That includes the gear. So each coach, Tyler might decide, you know what, yeah, I'm getting t-shirts, I'm getting this. We travel on Fridays. I want them to have a really nice pair of sweats, but I'm not getting them soccer cleats because that's just too difficult because they like 8 different brands of cleats. Um, Now Jeff might then over volleyball think, you know what, we're getting this, but I like them to wear the same shoe. We're getting a shoe. I don't care what they get them. They just have a budget that they're allowed to spend, and then whatever they get above that comes out of our fundraising. So um, I have seen coaches, they've almost given up on the team shoe, like in basketball, but they might tell a basketball player, hey, I budgeted, 75 or $100 towards your shoes. So you get what you want. We'll reimburse you up to $100 or whatever. So each coach kind of has a number that they're allowed to do within the budget. And then they're great about fundraising for the above and beyond things that they might like. Are athletes able to take regular scheduled breaks even if they land during the season? Not really. No, if they land during the season, and if you're in season, you're in season. That's part of collegiate sports. So that is, if you're in season, it would be a pretty rare situation where you would just be able to walk away from your team during the season, and then go away and come back. Now, things happen. A sibling could get married. Obviously, there could be a situation at home with a lot of times a grandparent. Grandparents of an age when they might get sick. You might have a death in the family. Well, those are different. But Angie, I can kick it back to her because this has become a thing. But just to say, hey, our family traditionally is one on vacation, and it just happens to be a week during the school year. That puts your student athlete in a really tough situation. So Angie, I'll kick that back to you or your student, not necessarily student athlete.
Yeah, one of the things that we're really that was such an issue this past year that our provost had me put it in every single monthly newsletter as a reminder to parents is to really become familiar with our academic calendar. And the reason we say that is that every faculty has the right to establish their own attendance policy. And for some faculty, they have a hard number of how many absences that you can have. And so, but, and I can say for, all the research shows the more you're out of class, the less likely you are to succeed. So we just really encourage you. And I will have, in that first newsletter that goes out July 1st and every month after that, you will always have access to our entire year's academic calendar so that you can see all of our dates of attendance, all of our breaks. But like Pat said, sometimes something might come up, especially with student athletes, the risk of there may be an injury that might require a surgery, for example. When that does happen, we always encourage the athlete to come speak to me. I am the person who helps coordinate extended absences. The reason they start with me is we have a really honest conversation about, how long are you anticipating being out? What's the recovery look like? Because the most important thing is your student's well-being. And sometimes the decision needs to be made that, we need to put your your academics on a little pause. We call it a medical leave of absence. We just put a pin in it for, the remainder of the semester. You go home, have your surgery, recuperate so that you can come back strong. But, when you need to be gone 8 weeks out of a 12-week session, that just isn't going to serve the student well, right? So it's really important that we have that conversation to determine what's in the best interest of the student. So that's going to be my one big ask is let's really try not to give students reasons, don't encourage them to, oh, we'll come home a day early for spring break or stay a day or two longer, because it really could negatively impact their academic success.
But most breaks, like for example, if women's soccer is a fall sport, so while there might be a fall break somewhere in there, and they're in season, um, spring break is spring break. So now men's volleyball, no problem with fall break, no problem with Thanksgiving, none of those. But basketball, no, Thanksgiving's a little tough because they're playing basketball. But for Jeff, spring break's tough because they're playing volleyball. He has his own spring break trip, right? He's playing games over spring break. Hunter's, coaches like every day because he's coaching all those different sports. But his cross country kids, I mean, um, indoor, you're going home for Thanksgiving, right? I mean, you're not doing something, but you get back Christmas break, you're going home. But spring break, track and field, it depends on the season where they're at. I mean, every sport, it's really when are they in season. The other breaks are no problem, but yeah, I'm a baseball guy, so yeah, my baseball kids weren't going home or anything on spring break because we were playing. So it was, but the rest of them, yeah, the rest of them are you're just a college student on the other ones.
Yeah, and one thing
Um,
I will mention, when student athletes are required to be here over a break, there is no additional charge for their housing or anything. For other students, if they just choose to hang around, there is an additional charge, but not for student athletes or any other student who's required to be here. So that you don't have to worry about that.
what services equipment are available for the athletes to use in and out of season in the training facility? Weight room is open a lot. It has the one in the athletic building in Charles Fieldhouse. So availability to that is there. They can lift in the weight room around the team schedules. There's open hours. But the Maybe Center, our student health center, they're just a student. If they want to go lift, they want to go ride the bike, they want to go up there. They're just a student, so they have full availability to that. They want to come in and shoot some hoops. They're a basketball player. Come in and shoot some hoops. Those hoops are down all the time. If the hoops aren't down, come get me. I'll lower the hoops. You want to hit in the cage. If you're baseball or softball, go hit in the cage. We keep them open. Security always tells security, like, listen, it gets to midnight, 12:30. Go ahead and, we can shut the building. It gets to a certain point. They're not going to go up and hit I mean, they would. They would go hit at 2 o'clock in the morning, especially I'm a baseball coach. Baseball guys are crazy. Like, yeah, let's go hit. Well, no, it's 2 in the morning, you know. But we're pretty generous. It's like we're shutting them down at 10. Like, if you want to go hit at 11, go hit. You want to shoot hoops until midnight? Go shoot hoops. Security comes, I always tell them, hey, somewhere around midnight, come around. If it's the weekend and then they're in there till 1, that's fine. Hey, they're shooting hoops. They're goofing around. They're not causing any trouble. If all we got to worry about is them shooting hoops at 1 in the morning, maybe then on a weekend, but we're pretty generous on our facilities. We want them in there. That's a great place for them, and use what we have. Are athletes required to live on campus all the years? As of now, unless you have some kind of exemption, yes. And Angie probably can give a brief on that, but the basic answer is yes at Culver.
Yeah, we do have a 4-year live on requirement. There are some exemptions, if you live with your parents, if you have dependents, if you trying to think of them off the top of my head, if you're a junior or senior, that's part of our nursing program that's over in Quincy. So there are some exceptions. So what I always tell students, because what I think a lot of people forget, because inevitably somebody's going to say, oh, well, it's cheaper for me not to live on campus. Well, maybe not, because your cost of attendance, if we take that housing out, is reduced. So then that reduces your financial aid eligibility. So sometimes for students, it actually is cheaper for them to live on campus because they are eligible for more financial aid that way. So I always recommend to students when they reach that point where it might be possible for them to live off campus, I tell them, friends, I encourage you to go over and talk to financial aid first, find out how this would impact your financial aid package before you make any decisions, because I would hate for that to negatively impact you.
All right, this is a good one. My son loves to play basketball, although he's playing football. Can they do that just for fun? Is their gym open for any students? Yeah, the Maybe Center has a gym, has where they play all the pickup, play all the basketball they want. And I mean, again, it's been a lot of years ago, but I still have a memory, and I remember living to go to the gym and play pickup after dinner. And we had some great pickup games because a lot of us that play, I was a baseball player, but I also played 4 years of basketball in high school, so there were some pretty intense pickup games, with all the different student athletes that played over there. And they play pickup in the big gym too sometimes. A lot of times the teams are in there, but we have the gym in the Maybe Center where the student center where they can play, and they can knock it around up in the other gym at times too. But that is in intramurals is a very, very big deal too. But that's definitely something we encourage. And again, have dinner, go burn some calories, play some basketball. I mentioned a rehab option on campus. What service does that include? Um, Physical rehab, they'll rehab, and the coaches, you live this as well. They'll rehab almost all our injuries. Something that really, it might go to PT to really get started, and then they'll turn over to our athletic trainers. So they do a lot of rehab. We have 4 full-time athletic trainers, and a lot of rehab. And so if they need something specialized that we don't have in the training room, obviously they'll go to a physical therapist. But a lot of times they will, and especially after a certain amount of sessions are done with a physical therapist, they'll come straight to our trainer and they'll start rehabbing with our trainers. But coaches, do you have anything to elaborate on that?
We'll just need, like, if you're transferring, we'll just need to connect with whoever's doing your rehab now, so we can continue the right way and have the same kind of return to play protocol. But yeah, the rehab is all done. They've done every injury, and we've had a lot of success with a lot of our players being able to return to play by doing that with our athletic trainers.
Yeah, and one thing about rehab, it got me thinking also there's a lot of ways to rehab, but mental health is also an enormous situation, for us to watch. Jill Miller is our counselor on campus, and we also have a chaplain who's wonderful, Mandy Tarpening. Both help in those areas, but Jill actually took a class to the University of Michigan specific for student athlete mental health, student athlete training, because we're wired a little different sometimes and think a little differently. So Jill actually, God gracious to Angie and stuff, is allowed to comes over our way to us, and spends time about 4 hours a week over in the athletic area where kids can see her in their world. Just pop in and talk to her, and we're very grateful for Jill doing that. And I think it's something that is just a nice addition because it doesn't seem like you should be as stressed as they are sometimes from 18 to 22. As we know what's going on after that, but it's pretty stressful for them. So they have nice to have somebody to talk to. Sometimes you've talked to your coach all you wanted to, or your friend, and you just want somebody else to talk to. And Jill and Mandy have been really, really helpful for us. And Jill getting that special training has been really good. So that's just something I wanted everybody to know. Well, we're gaining on about an hour, so you guys have been great. I mean, any last things or coaches, anything you want to toss in there before we sign off?
Actually, I did have two things since one came up last year, and just a reminder to parents: if your children are going to travel, you know, by plane, obviously, you know that you either would need a real ID or your passport. So if you have the opportunity to sort of take care of that, better to do it as soon as possible, because obviously that is a travel hindrance if you're flying to the college as a means of getting here for the fall. The other thing is healthy roster. I know that we do a fall season play, So athletes can't participate in any team sport until all of Healthy Roster is done. And that includes, again, the uploading of insurance documents and filling out the documents that are already in Healthy Roster, because it'll usually ask you for medical history and a bunch of other questions, and that all has to be filled out. And athletic trainers sort of track that and will not let you officially play until you've done that. So better get on top of the physical and all of that stuff ahead of time, because that could delay anybody playing in the fall. That could delay your start to the fall season right there. So you don't want to get caught off guard with that.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. And Chris, you're welcome. I think we're here to help. So we know this can help. So we're thrilled to help. And I appreciate the coaches jumping on. Healthy Roster, that is usually it's in July. So it'll come from Rob Carmichael, our head trainer. He'll usually send that out in early July. So my guess would be a post 4th of July send, but so we'll give everybody a good solid month to get all that in there. But start looking for it when the month of July hits to come from Rob Carmichael. All right, y'all, I appreciate it very much. Dr. Earl, thank you. And Hunter and Jeff and Tyler, thank you guys. Parents, we're looking forward to seeing you when you come in August, whether it's early or the regular drop-off date when you're dropping off your students. So God bless. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, just a friendly reminder, I will send out a parent newsletter on July 1st. It's going to have so much information. So it will have all the move-in information, all the stuff that will help get you ready for the beginning of the year. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming to you in 8 days. So have a great rest of your evening, everyone. Again, a recording of this will be posted on the Parents and Families page of the Culver website. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank y'all.